Hello everyone, welcome to the Algebra 1 Unit 7 review. The review is a little long, so it's broken into two parts. The first part will be sections 1 and 2 of the review. The other video will be sections 3, 4, 5, and the flashback questions. So let's get right into it. Section 1 is all monomial operations, applying the laws of exponents to simplify monomials. So the first problem here is we are going to is the rule that if you have two numbers, a product being raised to a power, you raise each piece of the product to that power. Also, we have a multiplication and an exponent. Remember your order of operations. Now we can do the multiplication. And the other rule we need to remember is that if we multiply two numbers with the same base by each other, the answer is the sum of the exponents. So this will be 27, because that's 3 cubed, times y to the 5th. Because when we multiply the bases, we add the exponents. For number 2, very similar problem. Right? We apply the exponent first. Remember, the 6 applies to everything inside the parentheses. And then we multiply the bases. So remember, the implied number there is 1. So it's x to the 7th, y to the 9th. For here, we need a rule that we haven't talked about, which is that if you have a number raised to a power, you multiply the bases. A power to a power, you multiply the exponent. So this will be 4 squared times x to the 6, or 16 x to the 6th. For D, all right, remember this -4 only applies to this. It's not applying to everything in the parentheses. So this will be 4 times x cubed times x to the -4, or 4 times x to the, 4 times x to the -1. Now remember, a negative exponent says that if you have a number raised to a negative power, it's 1 over that number to the power. So this will be 4 over x to the 1st, which we then just write as 4 over x. Measurements. For E, now we're going to be applying all of these exponents. Remember, this 2 only applies to the things in parentheses. So this will be 3y to the -6 over 6y to the -4th. Now, another rule is that when we divide two numbers with the same base, we subtract the exponents. Right? When we multiply, we added the exponents. When we divide, we subtract the exponents. Also, we can reduce this fraction. So 3/2 becomes 3/6 becomes 1/2, and -6 minus -4 is -2. So we get y to the -2. So we have to, so that will be 1 over 2y squared. So this 4 applies to everything inside the parentheses. So we are going to have to raise everything inside the parentheses that power. But before we do that, if you look inside the parentheses, we can simplify what's inside the parentheses first. So subtract the exponents y to the 4th over y to the 6th is part of that. If that's what's inside the exponent, so we get x over y to the -2, or x over y squared to the 4th power. So that'll be x to the 4th over y to the 8th. because we are raising a power to a power here on the bottom. I just realized it's a little small. So for G, now look at the numbers. We can reduce that fraction to 2 over 1, and then we subtract exponents. So it's x to the negative 3, y to the 5th. Sorry for that interruption. And so now what we do with the negative exponent then is we move that to the bottom. And there is your final answer, your simplified monomial. I'm going quickly, but if you have any questions about any of these, you can rewind and rewatch on the video. So this negative 2 here applies to everything inside the parentheses. This 3 applies to everything inside those parentheses. So I will get 4 to the negative 2, x to the negative 6, y to the negative 2, times 2 to the third, x to the third, y to the 6th. And then we will multiply this, and so this is going to be 1 over 16. Then we're going to combine these, and that'll be x to the negative 3, y to the 4th, and then this 2 to the third is 8. And so what I'll end up with is 8 over 16 times y to the 4th over x cubed. This simplifies down, and I'll get y to the 4th over 2x cubed. For I, right, we just multiply. All we're doing, parentheses rub against each other, so we're multiplying. So that'll be 15 a to the 4th, b to the 8th. Right, once again, the 4 applies to these parentheses. The negative 6 applies to those parentheses. This fraction can be reduced, so I'll get 4 x to the negative 8th over x to the 12th. Subtract the exponents, and I'll get 4 x to the negative 20th, which is 4 over x to the 20th. Remember, we're going to be careful with our numbers, but negative 8 minus 12 equals negative 20. Okay. So once again, I have something that I'm going to apply this to stuff that's in parentheses, but there's stuff that I can simplify inside the parentheses first, so I will. That can be reduced to 5 x to the 4th. It's all still squared, so then I just square everything inside, and I get 25 x to the 8th. For L, remember, another rule is any number to the 0 power is 1 as long as that number is not 0. And on the SOL, they specify that it's never 0. So this here to the 0 power is going to be 1 over 3x to the negative 4y cubed. Now, this negative 4 only applies to the x. Does not apply to the 3. If they wanted it to apply to the 3, they would have put it in parentheses. Negative exponent means move it to the bottom unless it's already on the bottom, and then it's going to have to move to the top. And those are all the monomial problems, all the different rules. The next section, section 2, said simplify each polynomial by adding or subtracting. And so this is really just like terms. We're looking for terms that have the same variable and the same exponent, and then we are combining them. So 3x squared minus 2x squared is simply going to be x squared. Remember that when you add or subtract things, exponents do not change. And then minus 6x plus 2x will be negative 4x. And plus 1 plus 5 is plus 6. Just combining like terms, finding the like terms, and combining them. Now, this one's a little tricky because of the negative. And so what I recommend you do is rewrite it, but distribute the negative. So this will be plus 8x minus 4. Distribute the negative. Then combine the like terms. 6x squared plus 11x minus 1. For C, once again, recommending that you distribute the negative. So rewrite it. 3x squared minus x plus 11 minus x squared minus 2x minus 8. And now combine like terms. 3x squared minus x squared is 2x squared. When we add or subtract, we do not change exponents. Exponents only change when we multiply. Minus x minus 2x is minus 3x. And plus 11 minus 8 is plus 3. This next problem is very simple. It is mainly a vocabulary problem. You have to know what perimeter means. And perimeter is just the sum of all the sides. So all this problem is asking you to do is to add up this, this, and this. So it'll be 3x plus x plus 18 plus 8x plus 3. And then we combine like terms. 3x plus 11x is 12x. Remember, the implied number in front of the x is 1. And then 18 plus 3 is 21. So that's the end of part 1 of the video. I broke it into 2 parts so it wouldn't be so long and to help you find the problems. Part 2, click on the link and I'll try and post the link in here as well.